couple more minutes. Okay. What's up, Tamika?
What's up? I'm back.
Okay, yeah, we got a little sidetracked on that last one, but it was good. It was a good flow. It was good. You know what I'm saying? But we still here. We still getting it cracking in this motherfucker. Now check this out. The whole thing. Well, going back to the original topic, I hate to veer off the last one because that was good, but we gotta stick to the script for a little bit. Now, motherfuckers ain't coming to work right now. You know what I'm saying? And I want to hear what Tamika got to say, far as like the whole work thing and the COVID thing and all this. Just kind of speak on that a little bit.
Me personally, I try not to, because I try not to appear to be negative to society and what's going on. Like, I try to understand a lot. But I honestly feel like a lot of people are not going back to work because they feel like people are used to handouts. They got comfortable with the unemployment. They got comfortable with the scams that was going on. A lot of people, and then people ain't gonna admit to it. A lot of people got in them scams, them PPE loans, or PPP loans, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, a lot of people got comfortable with their unemployment, and I feel like they benefited more from that than they did working a 9 to 5.
Straight up.
But they did though. They honestly did. They were getting more from unemployment than they was getting from them jobs that they was working. So I mean, what would you do to feed your family and have the things you need? I mean, honestly.
But I understand that they were getting.
I don't want to look lazy. I don't want to look like I'm getting a handout. So I'm gonna work this job and not get as much as I possibly could.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
But see, the thing is this too, though. What they failing to realize is that you getting that right now. You're gonna have to pay that back in the long run.
It's a loan.
Unless they can say they overpaid you, that's something you ain't got to pay back. Now, them PPP loans and stuff, yeah, unless you amend your taxes and get that shit right, no, you're not going to do it.
You don't have to pay. You don't have to directly pay. You don't have to directly pay that back per se, going to that into the unemployment and like that. But what that did was, by them giving out that money, they got to regain that money back. So what's going to go up?
Tamika, they didn't give shit, okay? Unemployment is money that you pay. So every year that I work,
I get that.
Right. So people that are collecting unemployment, people that are collecting unemployment, they're collecting unemployment because they've already paid into it. You don't get unemployment if you haven't already. You have to work a certain amount of time, and you only get what you paid into it. So people are not getting. They're not. That's not a handout. That's my motherfucking money.
What about the loans? No. What about the PPP loans?
I'm not saying it's a handout. I'm not saying it's a handout. But if we're gonna understand society in the way that it is, that dollar you paid today is not worth the dollar tomorrow.
But it's still my dollar.
That's what I'm saying. So therefore,
I earned that dollar.
The extra money that they gave you, the extra money that they was giving out then, and they was telling you that it was for the COVID thing, they're gonna get that money back. And they're gonna get it back in what? The cost of food. Look at chicken wings today. The cost of food, gas, they're gonna get that money back in gas, property taxes. This is what the people that.
Let me tell you something.
This is what's gonna be.
That stuff was going up and down before this happened. So let's be clear. I own a house. My property taxes have went up in the past 3 years. My property taxes have went up 4 times.
That's
4
true.
different times.
But so, now it's gonna be triple. But now it's gonna double and it's gonna triple when it go up now. Where it probably went up 2%, 3%, 5%. It's gonna go up more. We're gonna be responsible for paying that money back.
Let me tell you something. I think that's some nigga shit, because that's saying that because it affects me, they shouldn't get it. If you pay into unemployment, just like you pay taxes, I pay taxes. So if I don't have a job, motherfucking right, I'm gonna get goddamn food stamps, medical, because guess what? I'm 47 years old. I paid into all this shit. I paid into everything that I'm getting. I pay for that shit. You're not giving me nothing free. It's not a handout. And goddamn right, if I work for it and somebody else is getting it, if they need it, because if you look at it, people that are getting food, I know people that get food stamps and they work. And they have to work a certain amount of hours. And if they go over them hours, they are penalized by their food stamps being taken. How fucking fair is that?
I do agree with, like I said, with the unemployment to a certain degree. You know what I'm saying? You got.
I personally, me personally, I get it. Me personally, I get it up. I work for everything. I get the Section 8. I work. I'm out here on Section 8. I'm paying market rent.
Okay.
I get the food stamps because I personally, you can't live off. I can't pay cash for food. I have 4 children and a grandbaby I gotta feed.
Indeed.
So I get that too. I pay the taxes into that. But I'm not just sitting on my ass because I'm getting it. I didn't take advantage
if you work a certain amount of hours, if you make a certain amount of money, will that stuff, will your whatever rent you paying for with that Section 8, that'll go up, right? They'll take part of your food stamps if you work a certain amount of hours. What I'm saying is that shit is flawed and it's fucked up, because there should not be a choice if you want to work. Because I don't think that everybody's lazy. But if it's a matter of me, if I work 6 more hours, they're gonna take $200 from me, and I got 4 kids and a grandkid. I'm not gonna work them extra hours because I still need that motherfucking non-taxable money to feed my family. And that's a fucked up position to be put in, but that's just the real of it. You can't, it's not designed for you to get better. It's designed to keep you where you are, because if it was designed for you to get better,
that's true. But see, you as an individual,
while you're doing better.
But see, you as an individual gotta understand. You as an individual have to understand that. Me personally, with the COVID came along, I still work my full 40. I still work my full 40 hours with being on, like I said, on Section 8, and it lowered it due to the COVID. It lowered my rent. I didn't have to cut my hours.
But what I'm saying to you, if you picked up some more hours, or if you made more money, but it wasn't significant enough for you to do what you could do with the food stamps or with the Section 8, if you made that money and they cut your food stamps or they cut your Section 8 or they raised your rent, that's not appropriate. It's just not, because you still need those things to live. And what I'm saying to you is that even though
what you got to understand is it's not designed. It wasn't designed to give you, to help you live. It was designed for a help. It wasn't designed to get you ahead. It was designed to give you help.
It doesn't help you if you can't
get comfortable. You can't get comfortable with the help.
But you can't. It doesn't sound like you can advance with it. And that's my point. If you
no,
can't,
you can't. Now I'm not going to say that.
Let me finish. If you have to choose between getting extra hours and making more money and keeping your food stamp, that's not helpful, because that you still need that. You still need that cushion.
You can work a 40. You can work a 40 hours. You can work a 40-hour week job and still get a nice amount of food stamps. They can't charge you for overtime, because overtime is not guaranteed. They can't factor your overtime into your monthly income.
If you turn that check in, they absolutely can.
Yeah, no, I've done it. I've done it. I've done it. I have turned in extra money, and that's how I know. They can only charge you 20% of your income. Don't see people sit there and say, well, okay, if I make more money. Trust, yes, if you make more money, you're gonna have to pay, because this is just an assistance. It's not for you to get on and be on forever. Right. No, but it's a helping hand. It's a helping hand to get you through. Me personally, someone that's going through it, and no, I have worked a job up until the COVID. I worked a job where I made $21 an hour. I made $21. I made $21 an hour. I was on point with everything. I took my check to them. The apartment I live in now my apartment goes for $1,500 a month. With the Section 8 and me making my money, I'm only paying $1,000. I'm only paying that. I'm paying under $1,000, and that's me working 40 hours a week. So I mean, it all depends on how you benefit. It all depends on you. Some people sit there and feel like, oh, I'm doing too much. Would I rather pay the 940? Would I rather pay the 948 versus the 1500? Of course, I want to pay the 948 than to pay the 1500. But I'm still getting my hours. I'm not going to work unless it wasn't going to work and working under my hours.
I think you need to stop making people that are getting benefits synonymous with somebody being lazy. Because I don't think the people that are getting
just like you,
food stamps or unemployment, I don't think they're lazy.
Let me tell you something. They not doing that. You ain't working shit no more. You have to work at a certain
to even get the benefits, right? You have to work to get the benefits.
It's not everybody laying on their asses. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody laying on their asses just getting free handouts. Trust me. I used to work that shit too. Where it's what was it? The work first. Once my son got a certain age, when they were babies, and I was able to put him in daycare and everything, I had to work to get my little whatever it was they was giving me.
Mm-hmm.
So trust me, ain't no free handouts like y'all thinking.
I don't think
it's not no free handouts like they making it seem. Trust and believe.
What you think, Kennard?
Hey, you know what I think. But you know what, baby? I mean, you know, like I say, I feel like this, what I know is that that's affecting the taxpayers. It's one thing when you need help, but when it turns into like a 20-year thing, I got a fucking problem with that.
But you do realize that I mean, people always want to talk about I'm paying taxes for this and taxes for that. Trust me, the majority of your check going towards your Social Security and Medicare, which you probably won't get because it ain't gonna be shit by the time you get older.
True, because
you paying pennies on the dollar, literally pennies, like for this shit that y'all complaining about, like 4 or 5 cents.
Well, see, that's because the generation behind us don't want to go and get a fucking job. That's why if I don't get Social Security, that's got everything to do with it.
You're not getting Social Security because of the baby boomers, bro. It's the baby. They're living longer than people had anticipated. So they now I got a letter from Social Security told me I can't collect Social Security until I'm 72.
That's some bullshit.
Because of the baby boomers. Because it has nothing to do with the generation after us. It has to do with the baby boomers. They're still living. My grandmother is still alive.
So the generation before us.
The baby boomers, the generation,
wow.
Our grandparents, they're still alive. So they're still getting Social Security. They didn't anticipate them living that long. So they're dipping into our parents and our shit because they don't have enough money to give all these baby boomers that are walking around here. And it's a lot of them.
Well, it's a good thing there's 401ks out there and whatever savings you can get.
Man, you better.
Shit. You know, I'm just saying.
That's the thing. People are not taking advantage of. They're not taking advantage of those things. The 401k. Nobody is thinking about tomorrow. They're just thinking about today.
I don't think that's true to me. Why do you keep on saying that to me?
I agree with
like y'all say, we are the biggest consumers. We are the biggest consumers. We will go out here and we will put our money in everything else, but we won't invest nothing in ourselves.
You're right.
A lot of people that got 401ks in retirement. So I don't know where that's.
That's stuff that comes. I mean, is that's because now it's offered within the job. I mean that's within the job now. The jobs is a lot of the more jobs are promoting that now. That's being promoted. When you go to orientation, that's being promoted.
What you're saying, it makes it seem like we're just fucking irresponsible, just financially altogether. And I don't think that's the point.
I'm just
speaking from my experience. I have money in an account for my savings. I have my own 401k. I have my own TIA that I pay into. It has nothing to do with that. Because I don't have a job.
If you
don't have a regular job. But I know plenty of women and men who put money away for their savings and put money away you put money in different places. It's not that I don't like the fact that it's like we're so fucking irresponsible. I know plenty of black folks.
Give me a minute. Hold on.
Okay, you rude. I think that there's plenty of black people that put money away and save money and own buildings and own this and own that. We don't give credit for that. We want to hold the 5% accountable who don't really do shit. There's plenty of black folks out here that understand that they need to save money because it ain't coming from nowhere else. And I think COVID actually accentuated that more, that shit just ain't gonna be what it's gonna be. And even you talk about, when you talk about getting unemployment, what I make is what I make. So even when I get unemployment, that extra $300 it's not what I make. It's not gonna be what I made. So for me, it ain't no big deal for me, because that extra $300 still ain't what I'm accustomed to making. And so we talk about having to evaluate our lifestyle, evaluate our spending habits and everything else. That unemployment didn't do for everybody what everybody talks about. Like, it didn't increase everybody's pay. Some people's pay actually went down, because you only get a percentage of unemployment. So even with that percentage of that 300, that wouldn't have been my money that I would be making every bi-weekly. So,
and those are the ones, and y'all, and we are the ones that went back to where, like you started it prompted you to start your own business.
It didn't prompt me. I'm a nurse by trade. I've been a nurse for 20 years. I ran the COVID, and I ran the COVID clinic, the COVID vac. I did all that. I quit my job in July because I didn't want, in real talk, because I have a problem with motherfuckers telling me what to do. And at 47, I'm not gonna listen to nobody ask me. If I'm gonna ask them, can I take a vacation? I had just got to a point where my children are grown, my children are in college. The things that they need from me, they don't need from me anymore. So I have some playroom. So I can say, fuck y'all, I don't want to do that no more. And that's why I did.
Right. So that goes to the point that I was making. Us that think like that, we went back to work. We went back to work. We didn't stand, like, I didn't stand on that. When I lost my job, when I was in the hotel business, I was doing housekeeping and house aid. When I lost my job and I got the unemployment, honestly, truthfully, what I got for unemployment, like you said, that extra $300, it didn't make a difference for what I was already bringing home. So for me to go back to work, that was, to me, that was the better choice for me to do, was to go back to work.
So do you think, so with what you just said, Tamika, do you think that could have been a case with a lot of people, and so maybe people are not going to work for other reasons outside of that funky ass $300 that everybody keep on talking about? Because I don't think that $300 was a big issue. That's what I'm saying. So for
those now that are not going back, to work, because as of September the 11th, the September the 4th, that extra money is gone now. They only bringing home this amount of money, and yet they still staying at home. They advertising jobs left and right, but nobody is. You wonder why the reason why people are not running to them jobs now, because they have got comfortable with sitting at home.
I don't think people got comfortable
and getting money for nothing.
I think people have an issue. A lot of people, nurses included, because you see it all over the news. People have an issue with being told that they have to take that vaccination. I think that's a big part of the problem.
It's a lot of people now that it's a lot of people too also that's willing and saying, you know what, I'm gonna take that vaccination. That's like it.
I mean, but we talking about a reason why they're not going back to work, and I think that's part of the reason.
I can't go with that excuse right there that a lot of people not willing, because you do. These people just feel like, shit, I can stay at home and collect my unemployment.
We're talking about different reasons why that could be a reason, but that can't be the only reason people are not going to work. I think some people are not going back because they don't want to be vaccinated, and even when you watch CNN and they talk about like the restaurant industry, the hotel industry, they're having the problem retaining employees because nobody wants to work in those areas because they're scared of getting sick. So you have all these things, like people are scared of being ill. People are scared of being vaccinated. There's a lot of fear going around. And if you look at how COVID has been portrayed to us, it's fear-based. It's been a lot of fear. That's all they've been giving us for the past over a year, is fear. So now you have bred this fear into people, and now people are scared.
Well, I mean, they set the stage.
So what you say, Kennard?
I say they set the stage for it, for the fear, like you said.
Yeah.
And so people are gonna act out of fear like we always do. That's the whole point of media. Media is to keep people scared and afraid.
Right. That's
one way or the other.
That's the reason.
Right. Because even if you think about COVID, if they're not talking about COVID, it's running across the goddamn screen. If it ain't running across the screen, they talking about it. And that's all day, every day. I can call it on CNN right now. And if they're not talking about the COVID vaccine, if they're not talking about Colopound down and cancer, they're not talking about that booster shot, it's running across that screen. So you're talking about a programming. It's programming. So if you don't turn that shit off, or you don't understand what it is, you will become fearful. That's why you see people running around with fucking masks on and gloves on in a fucking store. You got gloves on, but you touching every fucking thing and you touching your face. Take the gloves off because it's the same thing. You just got on gloves.
Yeah, but
so can we agree that that's just an excuse?
I'm not gonna say it's an excuse. Fear is a
that doesn't sound like an excuse.
I don't like the word excuse because fear is a real thing. And what they're doing is real. So
the last time they used fear tactic like this, we gave a lot of our rights away with September 11th. And we slowly but surely giving our rights away because we're so afraid. We're like, oh yes, protect us. Yes, do this. It's safer this way. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
I agree wholeheartedly.
So that goes back to self-thinking. That mean that self-think, you letting them think for you. You have to think for yourself.
But what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? If it comes down to, it's no different than that's the reason why I got vaccinated. I kid you not. And I was off on a Saturday, which is rare, but I just so happened to be off that day. I'm up at like 6 a.m. and I'm watching the news. And here's the president talking about, and I don't think I'm a very impressionable person. I think I'm pretty headstrong. But even me, I was sitting here watching the news, and the president's going on and on and on about the vaccine. I said, man, you know what? Fuck it. Now, it was a good close to a year, and I said, I'm not getting it. And my mother called. Oh, go get the shot, and all this other bullshit, right? So I said, man, fuck it, man. I'm listening to him, and he's just like, man, I'm gonna go get this shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't proud of it. I can respect anybody that says they doesn't want to do it, but I did it out of fear. Real shit. And
that's my point. Like, you didn't do it because you were like, okay, I looked at the information that was given and I made a decision for myself. You made a fear-based decision. And how fucking fair is that for them to have imposed that fear on you in order to get you to do something?
It's never been fair. It's not fair. I mean, this economy is based on greed and money. I know this. I've known this for a while. So I get it. Okay. But my thing is this. The fear comes in as to, well, I show up to work one day and they say, let's just say, for instance, I show up to work one day and they say, oh, well, where's your vaccine card at? Did you get vaccinated? Or you got to go and get tested every fucking week. I'm like, man, I ain't got patience for this bullshit, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time to be sitting up running around.
But you don't know what that vaccine does either. Because although and that's my point. Like, a lot of people, and I'm speaking medically now. Right. People say that it's FDA approved. It's FDA approved for emergencies, which means that they have not even finished doing testing. So now they haven't finished doing testing, right? And the issue, I have a whole lot of issues here. I have an issue with anybody telling you that you have to inject something into your body, because you don't know what that does. And if you take that vaccine and you fall dead, that job that forced you to take that is not responsible. They're not liable. They don't have to put anything to your family that lost you or anything else, right?
Let me tell you.
Okay,
I got the first dose of the Pfizer vaccine against my better judgment because I wasn't sure about it, but I needed this job because ain't nobody taking care of me, bottom line. I got that first dose April 1st. Do you know I was sick until June 30th? I had what they call systemic inflammatory response. My body, basically, I would have been better off just catching COVID, more or less, because my body, I don't know what, it was like, my body was like, what the fuck is this shit? We got to get it out. I don't care how we're going to get it out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I was so sick. I couldn't even make it to the hospital I go to. I had to go to Mount Sinai because I could literally feel my airways closing up. I wasn't even breathing on my own. Do you hear me? That was from the vaccination.
Okay, but can I add this? When it comes to the vaccination, like Alicia, you made a good point. It's not even FDA approved, it's emergency approved because it's something that they needed to get out right away. But if you've been in the medical field, and I've done a few research, but wasn't that the same case with the chicken pox in the polio vaccination, as well
It
as
took
the
years to develop that stuff.
polio
It
and
took
chicken
years.
pox have been,
polio, the chicken
No,
pox, and the
absolutely not.
when they did the syphilis.
No,
the
well, first of all,
vaccination.
the syphilis was an experiment that they did on us without our knowledge.
Exactly.
Chicken pox and but that wasn't by, they didn't know about it. They just gave them syphilis and gave them some, but they didn't know they had it. Chicken
Even
pox
after it was
and
a treatment,
polio,
even after it was a treatment available, they still didn't treat them.
right? They treated half of them, but the
But
polio and chicken pox came after. And my thing is that my thing is this, if you want to get it, I can respect your right to get it. But I don't think that anybody has any business forcing. And I feel like anytime that you put somebody's livelihood, their jobs in jeopardy because they won't inject something in their body, I have an issue with that, because to me, nobody should be telling
but
you
they
to
did the
inject
same
something in your body.
thing with the chicken pox and the polio.
No,
It's
chicken pox. Let me
mandated
tell
for
you
to
something
have
about
that
chicken
shot,
pox.
though, for
That's
the
not
kids
true,
to be
Tamika.
vaccinated.
That's not true. I had chicken pox when I was growing up.
I had chicken pox too.
But
now
if
it's
you remember,
mandated.
but
It's
what I'm saying,
mandated
it was
that
not
our kids
mandated.
have it.
Chicken pox. But you can get away with not getting chicken pox. You can sign a religious release and not get vaccinated. You can do that.
Sure can. I did it.
Do that.
You can what?
They just said on the news now that you can sign a religious thing to get it not vaccinated for COVID.
Yeah.
But that's
This
is my point.
They mandating it, and they're mandating the stuff. And I mean, like you say, they using the fear tactics to get to you. I agree with that. But the thing is, this is not something that just happened. They've been doing this for years now.
It don't make it right.
It's not right.
I don't get the flu shot. I don't get the HPV. When you talk about all these vaccines that just came up, if you talk about the flu, the variant changes every year. Every year it changes. And it only, the shot that you get only protects you from a certain variant. There's different variants out there, right? So you got the flu shot, right? You got the flu shot. You got meningococcal. They got all these shit that they want to inject your body with. But I'm a very holistic person. I do a lot of herbs. I've never had the flu shot. I've been a nurse for 20 years. I've never had the flu. And Ebony has worked with me for years. Ebony can tell you I've never been sick, ever. My children have never had the flu shot. I don't put all that shit in them, and they've never been sick. My point is that you should have, if you choose to do something, fine, you can choose to do it. I don't think anybody should be mandating anything to be put in your body, especially using fear, because it's very unfair to threaten my livelihood. Like Kanara said, I'm scared that I'm gonna go and work. They're gonna be like, hey, where's your vaccination card? Mm-hmm. He's only getting a vaccine because he feels like his livelihood is threatened. That's not an even kill. That's not an even balance. You're not allowing me to make an informed decision. You're using fear of me being homeless, of me losing the shit that I have in order to get this vaccine. So it's either take this vaccine and take this chance, or you don't have a job. So that's the problem that I have. When you talk about the chicken pox, they didn't mandate the chicken pox when I was growing up. Motherfucker got the chicken pox, you touched everybody in the house, and then everybody got chicken pox all at the same time, and then you went on about your business. And that's how that shit works.
Mandated for our kids. It wasn't mandated for us, but it's mandated for our kids. That's what I'm saying. They mandating this, but that's what I'm saying. What the point I'm making is, them mandating it is not right. But for people, I mean, to me, I feel like you went along with that, so why not go along with this? I got vaccinated. I took the Moderna one. I took it, but I got vaccinated by my own choice. The reason why I chose to get vaccinated was because I work with elderly people now. So I chose to get vaccinated for that reason, because I am an outsider coming into their facility every single day. At the time, I was on public transportation because my car was down. So for me to make sure that I wouldn't bring anything to the elderly people or to the people that I work with, or even home to my kids coming from their facility to my house, I chose to get vaccinated.
Most of the elderly people were vaccinated in your facility, correct?
Now all of them are vaccinated.
Okay, so then that's my argument. If everybody is vaccinated but you should be more afraid about you getting COVID than they should be scared about them getting COVID. If the vaccine works like it's supposed to work, everybody that's vaccinated, nobody that's vaccinated should be scared of getting COVID. It's the person that's not vaccinated that should be scared, and that's not what they're protecting. And that's the problem that I had.
That's what I just said. I was on public transportation at the time that I made the decision to get vaccinated. I was on public transportation. I was afraid of bringing it home to my family. Right. And I was afraid for taking it to them as well, right, because I work with them. So that's the reason why. And I got my kids vaccinated before the school year started for the same reason. I didn't want them to, I was protecting them, want to protect them for bringing it home here and protect them for taking it to other students as well. But
obviously we see that you can still catch COVID even vaccinated. So how effective is that?
What's the point?
You know all of that.
Right, exactly.
All of that. But I think like we make a big deal about the vaccination for the to me, I feel like we make a big deal about the vaccination for the most craziest reasons to me.
What you think is a crazy reason?
Because like people say, I don't know what's in it. You don't know what's in none of the shit that they give.
But that shouldn't be an argument. If I don't know what's in something, I should not be ingesting it. And that should be a fair assessment. I should not, if I say I don't know what's in that, I don't want it. That's not a crazy reason. That's a fucking acceptable reason. That's like handing me something in a bowl and saying, eat this. I don't know what the fuck is in that. I'm not about to eat that. That's plausible.
People you stand on that like if. But you would still go out and you would eat something, or like we don't know what they put in this food. Chicken wings is huge as hell now. Back in the day, we never had chicken wings that big.
First of all, let's be clear.
I
do organic, I do holistic.
They giving you the stuff that they giving you now, the medication that they giving you now. You don't know what's legally and none of this shit. But I don't
take medication. I don't take any medication. And let's be clear, historically, not only the government, but white folks in general have had a history of experimenting on us. That's not anything that I've made up. That's not nothing that I heard.
We can't make this COVID thing. One thing for sure, we can't make this COVID thing racial.
Bullshit.
We can't make this as an experiment for us.
Bullshit.
That's everybody.
Bullshit. Let me tell you why it's racial. Let me tell y'all why it's racial. When you talk about how they went about putting out these vaccines that they ain't really know nothing about, because they still can't really tell you what they do. It went to the Black and brown communities before they went to anybody else. And I'm gonna tell you how I know this. I ran the COVID vaccine. White folks from the suburbs was coming out to the city because Inglewood, Lawndale, all the Black and brown communities, we had the majority of the vaccines because that's where they were sending them. So the white folks that were in the suburbs were coming out to the cities because they didn't have the vaccines. Them vaccines were being sent to us. There was a program. We would get vaccines, and then we would accompany by another clinic, and they would give us extra doses of vaccine with these zip codes that they wanted us to vaccinate. And those people in those zip codes got first dibs on those vaccines. None of those zip codes were white.
And she's not lying. I work in Humboldt Park. Anybody that lived in Humboldt Park within these zip codes was able to get that vaccine.
And none of them were white. None of them were white zip codes. They were Black and brown.
Wait a minute. Now in my neighborhood, because it's mixed, it was intended for the Black and brown community because Humboldt Park is Black and Puerto Rican majority. But it's a lot of hipsters and it's a lot of gentrification going on. So yeah, they did come and get it. But I'm telling you, it's targeting the Black and brown communities.
But you do know that the mayor and the governor were pushing for those vaccines to get here first.
It don't make it right.
No, it doesn't make it right.
What I'm saying, even like you have aldermen, like I was arguing with my CFO. He was like, well, the alderman, she gonna come in here and talk. They pushing for her. She look like you. That's the same bitch that got food deserts in our community, right? Okay. So you want me to get a vaccine, but so I get a vaccine to get these people healthy. They still don't have proper food. They still don't have proper education. Bitch, what we
I
talking
mean, if
about?
you really want to keep somebody healthy, you give them good food and good water.
Right, because after they get vaccinated and they're supposedly healthy, they still don't have access to good food to keep them healthy. We're still fighting diabetes, hypertension, and the fact that people can't afford medication and housing and food. So when you come to me talking about a vaccine, let's talk about all this other shit, because it's that what you're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. Let's talk about this other shit. And I can't get past all this other stuff and talk about a vaccine. I don't give a shit about that vaccine. Motherfuckers can't eat. They don't have access to good schools. They don't have access to transportation. They don't have access to a whole lot of stuff that's going to keep them healthy. But we want to talk about the vaccine. I have no respect for it.
And you know what? That goes to my point. We will sit here and go back and forth about the vaccine, and we will argue up and down about the vaccine, but we won't argue about our kids not having books in school. We won't argue about when they closed all these schools down, that they closed down. We didn't argue about that.
I ain't hear no talking about it.
It depends on who you're talking to.
We didn't get no argument. When they started closing about that. It depends. It messed me up when they took all the mailboxes off the corners in Chicago.
I don't think that's true, because I have mailboxes on my corner. That's not true. I have mailboxes.
Okay, where you live at? Now come out here to the west side come out here to the west side. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Come out here to the west side, to the Austin community, to the Londale community.
Well, then that's something y'all need to take up with y'all aldermen.
That's what I'm
mailboxes.
Nobody stood up about that when they deliberately took the mail. But you have to literally either go to the post office or to the currency exchange to get your stuff mailed. You can't
can I ask you a question? I'm about to ask you a question, Mika. Did you go to the alderman's office and complain about your goddamn missing mailboxes?
Yes, I did. I did.
How many times?
Honestly, I did. I was sitting right here. I went to the alderman's office right here. Because I had left at the time that they had took the mailboxes when they first began to take the mailboxes out of our community. I actually left Chicago and I moved away. When I came back to Chicago and I moved on Keeler, it's an alderman office. I can't tell you what ward it is because I don't do the alderman, but it's one right here on Keeler and Roosevelt. Yes, that was the first thing I said to him. Why y'all don't request for them to bring our mailboxes back in our neighborhood? Why do I have to go all the way to Pulaski and Ogden just to mail a letter?
That's fucked
up.
So,
they put them back?
And you know, and just for the record, Tamika, you don't have to go and do that. I am a mailman, and what you could do is you could wait for your mail carrier to come out and leave it in your mailbox. Or you don't have to wait for your mail carrier. You can just
we can put it on. My mail lady used to ignore my mail on top of my mailbox.
They're supposed to take it.
Right now. Where I'm at right now, I'm gonna give you case in point right here. Where I live at right now.
Okay.
My brother, he been gone from Chicago for 10 years. He just not coming back. He come back. He called himself gonna mail a letter. He left the letter inside the mailbox with a note on there, with a note on the letter saying, "Please take this to the post office." My mail carrier left that in my mailbox.
That's not supposed to happen. That's some bullshit.
She did not take that. And then with that, my mail carrier, I don't know what time of day she come. I leave out going to work at 6 in the morning.
Well, see, that's when you're supposed to pick up the phone. And if they don't pick up that first day, then when you get a chance, then you call the post office before COB, which is usually about 5:30. You call and you report them and you say, "Hey, I left outgoing mail in my mailbox," and they pick it up. But look, hey, off subject, I love what we doing, y'all. We got to crack this motherfucker. Now, hey, it's on y'all. We can do another one. We can shut it down.
I'm up.
Okay, cool. I'm up too. We got about a minute 3 left.
I'm up and sweating.
I mean, I love this topic because I'm not one for excuses. You can't give me excuses. I mean, I'm strong. I'm like you, Alicia. I'm independent. And I feel like you can do whatever you put your man to. You just have to be willing to do it.
Straight up. I agree with that.
You have to have that mentality. Can't nobody hold me back. Nothing and no one hold me back. So I just not for one that do excuses.
Okay, fair enough. But look, okay, well then, it look like we got everybody consent on the air, but what you think about one more?
Hey, I ain't doing shit.
Okay, well, shit, me neither.
Y'all making me wait for my jambalaya, but hey, it's cool.
Okay, well, you can do both. You can do both. That's cool.
You supposed to eat while you was talking like I did.
I was driving, y'all.
Right, that's
oh
true.
yeah, you was.
Okay, well then we got everybody consent.